So, having just come off our 1 hour of Women's Hour, uh, talking about the invisible load, I'm touched. I am so touched at what 1 hour can do for a group of women. About 12 women we were, um, of just sharing that invisible load, and turning that from being a load to being a pride and a gift and a quality. And I think what really ran through for me was this, the importance of us as women recognizing our own value and not just being dependent on looking outside for others. But in order to learn to value ourselves, we actually need the mirrors of one another as women to see ourselves more clearly for actually how magnificent we are in our ordinariness. Mm, mm,
Yes, Helena, it started out with each woman sharing something of what the words "my invisible load" mean to them. And at first it was quite varied, carrying the culture through to your children, all the emotional work that we do behind the scenes, including the worrying, all the anticipation, the pre-planning. And it was amazing how it then sort of started to come to, I started to feel like even though we were all so very different, we there was started to feel this sense of togetherness and oneness as well, that as we started to kind of recognize in each other how much each of us were carrying it, each in our different ways, sometimes with children, sometimes with elderly parents, sometimes with work, this sense of how good we are at it. And hang on, let's just celebrate how good we are at planning ahead and carrying those emotions and noticing what needs doing before anyone else has noticed, and how when we are taken out for whatever reason, illness or being away, how much it becomes noticeable what we are doing, because when we're not there to do it, we all see what gets left undone. And again, as Helena, you were saying, that sense in which we started to really be able to, in acknowledging what each woman was doing, we were able to acknowledge it in ourselves too, and recognize and honor the visible and the invisible load that we carry. And we finished by agreeing how important it is to make sure we're on that list, and left with each finding one small act of kindness that we would like to carry out for ourselves, both to resource ourselves to be carrying the load that we do, but also in honor of our ability to carry it so beautifully.
mm. Another thing that really stood out for me was the thing of, once you recognize that we actually do have a choice in doing it or not, that we do choose to do these things, even if it sometimes feels as if we don't, that we have a choice, because when we don't do it, it has consequences, and we choose to not have those consequences fall on others or ourselves. And the incredible strength there is, but also the pride that comes and the freedom that comes in recognizing this is a choice I'm making according to my values, according to who I am as a woman. Um, and I think I think you've spoken about it, but this thing of sharing it with each other, um, it almost gives you, like, if you do it alone, it ends up easily to be like a martyrdom, or a just being taken for granted. Where actually, if you're sharing with other women and you're being witnessed and recognized, and you learn to witness and recognize yourself, rather than it being something that you're just slugging around because you're just a woman and like doesn't have any value what you're doing, you suddenly begin to get a sense of the incredible value as women that we are doing in all these invisible things, like the forest, like the trees in the forest that do all the invisible supporting systems underneath. And for me, that's really what I think we're trying to aim. That's our aim for Women's Hour, and with the work that we do, is to really recognize with Rights for Girls, to recognize how important this invisible web that women are holding, that the girls, that our daughters, they feel it when it is there, and they suffer when it is not there, amongst women, amongst mothers.
And still to not to fall into the trap of um, keeping the invisible load invisible when actually what we need to do is show that we're not coping. And there are no prizes for coping. And sometimes what we need to do is reach out and ask for help. We don't have to prove, just because some of us will, love that feeling of being told how well we're doing, and people marveling, and or even asking how do we possibly do what we do, and that feels good. And there's nothing wrong in that, unless it becomes a trap that we feel that we then
If
can't.
there's no choice to also ask for help when it doesn't go well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that we can make that load a bit more visible when we need a bit more help with it. And that there's no shame in that. And in fact, there's community in that also. By supporting one another, that burden, and we started to not really even want to call it a burden. The family engine, or someone talked about wings that we can fly with. That when that's shared, it's something that unites us and brings us together, and there's joy in that too. And our girls need to see us putting ourselves on the list. They need to see us prioritizing ourselves and taking care of ourselves so that we can do what we do. Because otherwise, what kind of an advert for womanhood are we? The girls look at us, and it does not look appealing. So if at first we can't do it for ourselves, let's do it for the girls. Let's take care of ourselves and our needs, to resource ourselves to be able to do what we do so very well, by taking care of ourselves.
But isn't it also wonderful that actually some of the best things you can do for your girl or for your daughter is to actually value yourself as a woman? No, yeah. No, it was a beautiful hour, very rich. Good. I look forward to the next one. And do you want to end off with saying something about where people can find more information if they want it, about all the work that we do at Rights for Girls?
Yes.
Mm.
We work with mothers of daughters, with girls, with parents of boys and girls. Some of our work is online and some of it is in person, and we train women to be able to run girls' groups. So if any of this conversation or any of what you've heard of our work interests you, find us on our website, rightsforgirls.com. And rights is spelled RITES, forgirls.com. We'd love to see you.